Hello everyone and welcome to this video. So in this video, we are going to discuss about a very awesome resource, which is Can I Take Over XYZ? Now what is this? So it is a complete comprehensive guide for subdomain takeovers. A very useful resource which has been available and which has been used by many security researchers to identify subdomain takeover based vulnerabilities. So what exactly is Can I Take Over XYZ? So it contains a list of services and how you can claim the domains as well as the subdomains with dangling DNS records, which basically means the DNS records which are being pointed to these cloud platforms but are never claimed. And we as in security researchers can easily claim those subdomains or the dangling DNS records and claim the subdomain as well. So this comprehensive guide of subdomain takeovers contain in total 58 fingerprints of different cloud services which you can easily take over and prove subdomain takeover based vulnerabilities or flaws. Now there are few points to know and remember about this Can I Take Over XYZ comprehensive guide. The first one is it contains the rich and refined list of services that are running on cloud platforms. The second point is identification of dangling CNAMEs. So we are going to identify the vulnerable DNS records that have been written and has been pointed to these cloud services. And the third one is the list of fingerprints and the status of takeovers that we are going to perform. So we are going to utilize the fingerprints from these resource and we are going to match and identify on many subdomains. If these fingerprints match, then we can successfully claim a subdomain takeover over there. So now it is the practical time and let's see how does this look like and how can we utilize it for our benefit of subdomain takeovers. As you can see over here, this is a repository by Ed Overflow in which you can see over here, Can I Take Over XYZ? Now, first of all, what is subdomain takeover? You guys are already aware about subdomain takeover based vulnerabilities. So let me just come to all entries, which contains the fingerprints of all the cloud services. As you can see here, the engine stands for the type of subdomain or the type of cloud service, the status if it is vulnerable or not, the fingerprint that you need to check into the response for that particular subdomain. The discussion contains the discussion or the issues that have been opened by other security researchers, which also contains sometimes the steps of taking over any subdomain. And if it is not possible to take over the subdomain, it is also mentioned into the issues section. The documentation contains documentation about the cloud platform and how the subdomain takeovers can be possible. Alright, so starting with the first one, as you can see, the first one is Acquia, which is not vulnerable, and the fingerprint is website not found. Now, if the status is not vulnerable, that means that particular cloud service provider cannot be done a subdomain takeover, which means you cannot take over those subdomains which are being hosted by this platform, which is Acquia. But if you see the second one, which is Agile CRM, then it is vulnerable and you will be able to see a message which says, sorry, this page is no longer available into the response of that subdomain. All right, so let me show you one of the example for one of the cloud service provider. So let's say we see for Heroku, and here you can see the cloud service provider is Heroku. It is a edge case and the fingerprint is no such app. Now what is edge case? It should be vulnerable or not vulnerable. Now edge case means that sometimes you will be able to claim those subdomains and it becomes vulnerable, and sometimes you are not able to do it. Now why this? Because the cloud service providers have put on some mitigations or some settings in which few of the subdomains are not able to successfully get claimed by us, and in some cases we can claim it. So it is considered as a edge case. For all the edge cases, you should at least try once to claim the subdomain, and if you're able to do it, then it can be a vulnerable subdomain takeover and you can report to the target organization. For this, we are going to utilize census. So as soon as I come on census, you can see a search box over here. You just need to type the fingerprint name. The fingerprint name, as we saw, was no such app. So I need to copy and paste it over here and write Heroku in front of it. Now what does this basically means is, census has already crawled all the target addresses web servers and has its fingerprints saved into its database. So we are querying the database from the census to all the web servers which contains these fingerprints to match a subdomain takeover vulnerability of Heroku. So this becomes very simple and easy for us to identify those target domains or subdomains which are hosted on Heroku but never claimed on Heroku. Alright, so you can see there are a couple of IP addresses that we have identified. So by opening each one by one, you can see over here, these are the targets that I have identified from census, and you can see a message which says no such app over here, as you can see, and this is being served by Heroku. Now this domains or these subdomains becomes automatically vulnerable to subdomain takeovers. You can report it to the target organization. So this was one of the easiest way of using Can I Take Over XYZ to identify the fingerprints, and also you can use census to just identify if any targets are vulnerable to subdomain takeovers. And in a similar way, you can use different methods for like subdomain enumeration, and from those subdomain enumeration assets or targets that you have identified, you can test subdomain takeover based vulnerabilities. So I hope you guys understood. Thank you.